Hello, welcome to the video. Thanks for joining me. The video is to show you around this cracking N box that I've just listed for sale. If you're familiar with some of the content I've published before, you will notice that this is slightly different to the previous N boxes featured. So this is a second generation Honda N box, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. The N box is actually now in its third generation. It was the first generation that really got me into this make and model of car when I saw one just as it's been released in Japan. And this is the first time that I featured a second generation N box on the channel. Not the first one I've imported, but the first one I've had a chance to make a video about. It's quite a lot to cover because there's quite a few changes from the first generation. So let's dive into it. This is a 2019 Honda N box Custom GL Honda Sensing. That is not a very snappy title, is it? But that's its full title, and we're going to talk about what Honda Sensing means as well as we go through. So this was auction grade 4.5. I didn't buy it myself at auction because I need someone in Japan to bid for me, but I imported it and got it ready for sale, and now here it is. It's done just under 91,000 kilometers, and it looks absolutely stunning. I hope you'll agree. Obviously I'm slightly biased, but there you go. A lot of people have commented on the colour who've just seen it in passing for whatever reason. The colour is brilliant sporty blue, and I think it suits this car very well. We need a bit more sun than we've got today. You may notice I've got two coats on because it's pretty cold, but nonetheless the sun is trying its best to poke through, and in bright sunlight in particular it really makes this colour pop. It looks amazing. Okay, so the second generation N box was released in September 2017. This is a 2019 car, as I said. As with the first generation, we have the standard line and then we have the custom lines, and then within that we can have two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, and we can have turbocharged or naturally aspirated. This is the NA, naturally aspirated version of the custom. It's two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, obviously. In terms of trim levels then, in N boxes and other cars that I deal with, but the trim levels are very complicated to understand, and I'm not saying that to mock your level of understanding. They're very hard for me to understand, especially when you start adding in special editions, but I'll have a crack at it. So we have, at the bottom, we have GL, then we have GEX, and then we have the same pattern again repeated but with Honda Sensing. So GL Honda Sensing and then GEX Honda Sensing. So this is one down from the top in terms of the trim levels of the non-turbo N box Custom. Still with me? Hopefully so. So what is Honda Sensing? What I'm going to do, rather than just stand here reading out a long list of things, and it is a long list, I'm going to put them in at various points through the video, and it will be obvious to you when I'm mentioning them. Okay, I'm also going to hope to give you some impression of how this has changed, how the N box has changed from the first to the second generation. Only my opinion, of course, but yeah, I'll give you some insights into that as we're going along as well. Okay, let's kick off in the usual way with having a look around the outside, and let's start with this very striking front end. It's to me anyway, it's saying, well, I'm a small car, but I'm still capable of quite an aggressive look. Really complemented by those LED headlights. LED lights pretty much all round on these, so LED headlights, front fogs, and then we'll see the lights at the back as well. They are also LED. We've got sequential indicators on the front too, if you like that sort of thing. Very popular these days. If you see that yellow sticker on the windscreen, above that you may see a space, and there's a camera in there, and that's integral to the Honda Sensing. Okay, so let's start with our first Honda Sensing feature, which is it's not exclusive to Honda, of course, but it's automatic headlights, and they've also got auto dip and main beam. The mirrors fold automatically when you lock the car. There you go, just one click on them there, and the mirrors are folding in, and then unlock, and out they go again. And it will probably lock itself because I won't be opening the doors in the meantime. Okay, we've got 14-inch alloy wheels, genuine Honda wheels, with a brand new set of Toyo tyres on there. The monsoon shields, as are very common on Japanese imports. So that's a standard sliding door on this side, powered on the left. There it goes, locking itself again. Little spoiler there at the back, privacy glass on the rear side windows and the tailgate glass too. I'll just show you the rear lights and the fog light. Put the indicators on too so you can see what I was talking about before. Hopefully you can make that out. A really nice fade from a strong red up to nearly nothing, not quite at the top there. And then the brake lights come in like that. So we have a power sliding door on the left, not on the right. Some of the top spec models will have them on both sides. So there's the key. You see we've got 3 buttons. Move that out of the way so we focus back on the car. And then if I press and hold that door button, door opens like that. Press and hold it again. And it closes. Both sides have the final latching mechanism, so if you haven't quite slid the door on the right hand side closed with enough force, then it will do that final close and latch it in place so it's fully secured before you set off. We have still, you'll be pleased to hear if you've heard me bang on about it with the first generation, we've still got the special two-way mirror system, which we'll see when we do a tour of the inside. That external mirror on the door mirror there is integral to that, so that's why I was pointing it out there. A quick look at the engine bay. There we go, nice and clean under here. So this is the first generation has S07A engine. This is S07B. This one has VTEC, whereas the first generation didn't. And I think that's one of the key differences for me in the driving experience, is that this one does feel a little bit more lively, and I think that may well be partly explained by that. They also say that they, in the press release when they released this second generation, that they've made some modifications to the transmission. They didn't say what they were, but maybe that adds to it too. So 658cc 3-cylinder 12-valve petrol engine with a timing chain, developing 57 horsepower, 65 newton meters or 48 pound-feet of torque, and the torque curve is maximal at 4,800 rpm. Now then, a dirty word for some of you, or maybe a dirty 3-letter acronym, if we will. This one has CVT, automatic transmission. I know some of you don't like it, but remember, it is a very efficient transmission. It's the best way of squeezing the maximum performance for the car out of what is quite a small engine, because it can allow the engine to work in its optimal rev range as you're accelerating and building speed. So in terms of preparation for sale, this one's had engine oil and filter, it's had a transmission service, so transmission, filter and fluid. It's had an air filter as well. I didn't do the cabin filter because that looked essentially brand new when I took it out to have a look at it. Check the coolant. This one's had it's had a front suspension arm on that side, and it's had some new CV joints. It's also had the wheel alignment done after all that work. Let's have a look at the interior then. I've moved over to my phone for this, so apologies for the wind noise while we're outside, but once we get inside it'll be much better. So I've got the keys in my pocket. We can lock the car by doing that, and then to unlock, simply put our hand in there like that and it opens. Doors open, front doors open to a full 90 degrees. First thing that catches my eye as I'm going down here is the separate tweeters. So separate tweeters front and back, so the audio system is pretty good in these. Electric windows all round with auto for the driver. We've got locking and unlocking there, electric mirrors with folding as we've already seen. And 1, 2, 3 storage areas. You've got to make sure you don't grab that to try and close the door, because it's not really designed for that. That's where you need to be grabbing, so you close the door. As we're going past there, we should note the sticker. This car comes with 2 remote keys, and it comes with a factory manual and some service records in there too. Okay, let's have a look at the seats. Bench style seating as with the first generation, although a little bit more in the way of side support there. I don't know if it's genuine Alcantara, but it's that type of fabric on these, with this central trim piece there. Height adjustment for the driver, and then also obviously the angle of the backrest there too. So if we start down here, there's the driver's control for that power sliding door. The start button, lane departure, collision mitigation avoidance switches there. There's some more Honda sensing features for you, and this obviously has been added. That's the fog light switch to comply with UK regulations. Indicators on the right with the auto light control there as well. The speedometer has been converted to miles per hour. Again, for the IVA, the odometer is still clocking up in kilometres. Storage bin just there. So we've got some audio controls on the steering wheel, we've got an airbag, and we've got cruise control. This is quite nice. It's adaptive cruise control, meaning that if you get too close to the car in front, or if someone pulls in front of you, not giving you enough stopping distance space, then it will slow the car down until you've got enough space to carry on. I'll just start it up, so foot on the brake, press the start button, the usual thing. The bong is to remind me to put my seatbelt on, and then we have a little display there too. Let's turn the fan off. Now that complaining grating noise is coming from this one up here. That's the dash cam, and it's complaining because it hasn't got a memory card in, but it does work. That display shows a whole host of information. It is in Japanese, apart from the numbers obviously, and will remain so, I'm afraid. As far as I'm aware, there isn't a way of converting that. Please let me know if there is and I've missed it. Quite a nice feature, or at least I think it is, when you put it in reverse, you have this little icon, and as you turn the steering, it shows you which way the wheels are turning. We can cycle through this information, show different things. On the screen like that, using the buttons on the steering wheel just there. Alright, I'll tell you a little bit about the head unit. So the navigation is Japan only, it won't surprise you to hear. However, you do get quite a lot on here that does work over here. So the Bluetooth audio works fine. We've got a range. The FM range actually is better than it is on a lot of these head units. It doesn't cover the full UK FM range, but you can get Radio 2, Radio 4. The TV won't work. The music on SD card works fine, as does the CD. We also have, probably won't surprise you to hear, we have a reversing camera with the accompanying reversing bong, and we can change the angle of the camera. There. Down here we have fully automatic climate control. Just switch it on so you can see the display. Turn it off again. And down here we've got USB connectivity for the head unit and some charging ports there. The shift for the CVT transmission and the Econ button just there. So this has got start stop, and that, as well as changing the acceleration parameters of the engine and gearbox slightly, that also switches off the start stop should you wish. There we have our mirror system. Be familiar to you if you've seen the first generation N-Box. Slightly different design, but the same functionality in terms of where it's allowing you to look as per the icons on the side there. Passenger side gets even more storage in the door, so 1, 2, 3, that's the extra one, and then another one down there. So we've got drinks holders in the doors. We also have one there, glove box there, obviously this tray here, and then on this side we have, oh yes, an illuminated drinks holder. I don't know if you can just see the little light coming on there. Fancy indeed. Moving into the back then. We've lost the central armrests. By the way, if you're thinking this fabric is looking terrible, it does come across really badly on the camera, and that's because it needs a good old brush to ensure it's all the fibres are laying in the same direction. Where was I? Right, we've lost the central armrests in the back from the first generation. Cup holders both sides. Airbags in the back. A lot more in the way of airbag provision on this one than in the first generation. We've still got our rear view mirror, not that we really need it because of the camera, but we've got it anyway. Tweeters there. Little storage areas to be fiddled with on the back of the seats there. Map pockets, not that I guess many people really use those anymore, maps that is, and another hook there. This one has a set of factory mats with this nice checker pattern on. They're in really good condition. I should have pointed it out when we went past. So in there we have ISOFIX for child seats on both sides. Right, let's tell you a little bit about what you can do with the seats in the back. Very similar to before, but the main difference is that you can slide them fore and aft. So we've got a little tag down here that you can pull, and we can do that. So that one's as far back as it can go. This one's as far forward as it can go. And that's really useful because these cars are very generous with their legroom for passengers in the rear seats, at the expense to some extent of boot space, but with this option you can adjust it yourself, I suppose. So fold them back like that. This comes up, they both do, and lock in place to give us a huge area here for, I don't know, carrying a tall plant that you've just bought or something, or maybe an area for pets to sit and stuff like that while you're on the journey, whatever. A whole range of things, I guess. And then these also, as you're probably expecting, go flat like that. I can't reach the other side one from here, but they both go flat. We'll have a look when we open the tailgate to give you a really useful amount of boot space. Let's have a look in the boot then. We have an electric boot release. These 4 here indicate where to put your fingers to catch the release. There we go. Mind out of the way as the tailgate raises itself. Okay, so that's the amount of boot space with the seats as far back as they will go. What's quite nice as well is if you're putting something in the boot and you want to slide the seats forward, you can do that from here like that. To adjust it like so. And then under here we have the towing eye, jack and tyre inflation kit. Okay, let's try and answer the frequently asked question, can you sleep in it? I'll be honest, it's not ideal, but let's have a look. The first option is probably something like that, but you'll notice that the backrest of the back seat doesn't go completely flat. So you have to have that staying upright. Have I got anything in my pockets that I'm going to squash? I don't think so. Okay, so let's see. Can I fit in it? Yes, I can just about. I mean, you can probably tell my feet are off the end, but there is space actually because these seats slide forwards and backwards. So that's your first option. And then your next option would be to put that flat and have that like that. And then obviously you would need either a double section of mattress. Some people make a little stage to raise this up so they've got space to store stuff underneath to bring that height up to this height, and then they put an airbed or something on top. So yeah, not ideal depending on what comfort means to you, but it is possible. Okay, just a few notes about the driving experience. I'm afraid I'm not going to be doing a test drive in this video because I've just got the car clean, and if you live in a sort of a semi-rural location as I do, you will know that this time of year you can't drive a car anywhere without getting it covered in either mud or salt or a heady combination of both. So I think the 3 key differences for me: firstly, the engine feels like it's got more oomph to it. I've alluded to that already when we were looking under the bonnet. Secondly, the sound insulation is undoubtedly better on this second generation than it is on the first. And thirdly, it's the level of tech. If you like your toys in cars, you know, the adaptive cruise control, the auto dip headlights, there's lots more. Road sign reading, that's another one actually. So if you like all those sort of bits and pieces, then I think the second generation has a lot more of those to offer than the first. Alright, that's about it for this video. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope it was useful for you. Let me know what you think about the second generation versus the first in the comments below. I know some people still prefer the looks of the first, and I completely get that. If you are so taken with this one that you would like to buy it, then obviously I would love to sell it to you. My email address is in the description as usual, so you can get in touch with me. You can ask any questions you might have. You can make arrangements to come and have a look at it. Remember also, if you want an N box but this isn't quite to your taste, I offer an import to order service where you can basically hire me on a fixed fee basis to buy a car on your behalf and bring it over and convert it, get it registered, etc. So you can use the same email address to get in touch to ask about that if that's something that might be of interest to you. A final obligatory reminder to consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, so you get to find out when I publish more videos like this. And I think that's about it. Thanks once again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again for the next one. Bye for now.